Guys, I don't want to waste your time. If you don't want to watch the video, this is definitely something you need to get your hands on. I have never cut with something that does as well as this thing to date. I've been using these things all my life, and I'll be 40 years old in a couple of months. So, long story short, the only bad thing about it is the shrapnel it throws off feels like you're cutting with a grenade, and it sounds like a freight train driving through a dynamite factory as far as how loud it is. It's definitely louder than a regular cutoff wheel. This piece of metal would definitely crack your teeth right in half. Fellas, what's going on, man? I got something really cool to show you here today. I picked up a metal cutting diamond blade. Never heard of such a thing in my life. A friend of mine says that he uses the typical ceramic blade at home to cut metal with, and it lasts him all year. I've tried it. It doesn't work very well because there's not enough diamonds in it. But when I seen this sucker, I had to have it. Look at the amount of diamonds in that blade. That's what I'm talking about. So I got a feeling this thing's gonna work out well. It says that it can cut all these metals. I'm interested to see how it performs on aluminum, and I have a feeling it's gonna do really well because of the saw blade-like feature that standard cutting disc does not. These tend to friction weld the aluminum to the cutoff wheel. At least that's my opinion. I haven't read that anywhere. That's what I think's happening. I haven't put any thought into it. It just spewed out of the hole in my face all of a sudden there. So, in addition to showing you guys this awesome looking cutoff wheel, I'm going to show you a couple of other ones, but what we're going to be doing is cutting some pieces of angle iron. I have a piece of aluminum. I'm going to cut some brackets I need to build. I'm going to be cutting some slices, about a ½ inch, a bunch of them. I really want to see how this thing works out. I'm kind of worried about how painful it's going to be. Anybody who has cut these pieces of aluminum with a grinding wheel knows it's like cutting with a grenade, basically, because the metal doesn't burn, or there's something about it. I don't know what it is, but it's bigger, hotter metal chunks. I also wanted to share with you guys this particular brand of cutoff wheel is definitely a very wise choice. I think it's better than any cutoff wheel I've used. I actually haven't used this one yet, but because this one worked out so well, it is a slightly different version from the same company. But look at the how tight the composite fabric is. Seems like it's a little bit tighter than most. Maybe I'm wrong. At any rate, I love this disc. It definitely stands up better to snag ups, hang ups, and stuff like that. If it gets a little chip in the blade, it quickly recovers. But let's get on with this test already. All right, fellas, let's do this. Really excited to see how this thing works out. Yeah, that's a nice looking little piece of wheel right there. Definitely digging it. Feel like I got a new freaking car or something here. Okay, I can definitely tell you that something about the material they used with this blade. It's definitely a very sharp blade. Very happy with this brand. However, hang tight. All right, I'm almost like thinking I need to put on some long sleeves or something here. Now I can tell you one thing right now about this blade. It definitely feels twice as sharp. The reason why you saw me going really slow is because I suddenly acknowledged the possibility of what a hang-up could do with a stiff blade like this. Now we've all got our situations in the past, ourselves in a situation in the past where we are pushing the blade, where when we're grinding, there's a push. You usually want the machine to be dragging away from you. But if you get a blade snag, sometimes that blade breaks and gives way. It kind of makes it a little bit less violent of a reaction. I'm worried if what would happen if you snag this blade up, because it's so stiff. It doesn't have any flex to it. So this might take some getting used to. It definitely hurts like hell. Oh man. It's probably twice as loud as a regular cutoff will. Ooh, hot tomato. Typically I don't mind a few sparks bouncing off me, but this is just straight up shrapnel. I'm taking flak. All right, so we've seen what it'll do with that. I'll do one more steel cut. Kind of do a little bit faster this time. Definitely like the feel it has. You can see it does leave quite a bit of a death blade there. That would chop your head off. Got quite a bit more of a, I don't know what you would call that event, what that metal's doing right there. It's like flaking over or something. There's probably a term that someone knows. So if you could leave a comment and what they call that flaring effect of the metal. It's definitely a prominent feature of this particular cut wheel. Pretty sure we weren't seeing, I know I've never seen that before with a regular wheel. That is a freaking machete right there, fellas. So that's the first thing I'm noticing right off the bat is you definitely need to be wearing some leather gloves, because that is just freaking gnarly. I have literally created like a knife blade and it is stiff. Let's take a look at this. Fairly stiff, about paper thin. So, at any rate, I'm definitely liking it so far. If you're new to using a grinder, one thing that I could recommend is someone who has used them extensively. And I'm talking about at work too, not just here in the shop. One rule to learn with a grinder is you always want that blade dragging the machine away from you. Never get yourself in a situation where it's pushing. Like if I were to turn it this way, that's asking for trouble. That's when you get all this and the thing is binding up on you. Sometimes you're gonna have to turn it that way, or you're gonna find yourself in a situation where you're cutting from up under here and it's pushing you, or vice versa. I was kind of bass at it. At any rate, that's just one thing that I've always learned. Anytime I feel a push going on and I'm not dragging, I know I'm about to be in trouble. That's when you really need to be on your guard and hold that thing stiff. Do one more cut with this thing. Okay, now I'm dreading this. This is gonna hurt. This is aluminum, not sure what kind. Some kind of structural alloy. See how it does. Got a pretty good idea of how slow these blades go, about twice as slow through aluminum as they would steel. Aluminum will slow this thing down quicker than steel any day. And I believe it's because it's being friction welded to the composite, but I don't know. I'm really worried I might be getting ready to ruin my diamond blade, but I'm doing this for the team here. I'm taking one for the team on this. Not too big a deal. And sure enough, looks like it pretty much clotted up my diamonds. I'm sure the next metal cut will take that off. We'll give it a shot. This will unclog the diamonds, or dress the wheel, as a professional machinist might say, which I am not. Not bad, fellas. And we're back. I can tell you what, to be honest with you, I think it feels like it might be a little bit slower than a traditional composite wheel. I don't really have a setup that would test that. I could be wrong. I just feel like I can get, maybe I'm just scared of it still. I feel like I'm gonna rip the diamonds out. I don't know what it is. That ain't too bad. See how it dresses these things up. It definitely dresses things up really nice. Those little blades on the edge, or that little bit of side diamond right there, does a really nice job of cleaning up its mess. I like the feel that it had. I don't feel like it's gonna fly off and chop my jugular vein open. I don't have to worry I'm gonna break a blade, and you don't have to worry about this with this right here. This is far safer from a safety standpoint. Not particularly a safety buff myself. I tend to just not be stupid versus safe. They're essentially the same thing, but safety is often a mechanism used for stupid people. Whereas sometimes common sense will avoid the scenario altogether without any extra equipment or precaution. I'm definitely buying this again. I can tell you that right now. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Pretty sure it was $14. The one bad thing about it, like I said, is the serrations. The serrated edge, or the scalloped edges that we're getting off of this thing, are far more prominent. Look at that. That'd stop a truck if you ran into it. That's a pretty big bump. So it definitely opened you up pretty good. Now the aluminum cut, piece of the aluminum, that seemed to cut way faster than your typical composite wheel. I don't know what these are made out of. They're probably different oxides. Pretty sure it's some kind of aluminum oxide, but I could be wrong.